The ice storm had been screaming for 3 hours when Daniel Webb heard something that did not belong to the wind. He stopped walking and turned his head. The sound came again. It was weak and broken, like an animal crying in pain. Daniel had spent 10 years doing wilderness rescue on Earth before joining the Coalition's Outpost program. He knew the difference between wind and suffering. Outpost 17C sat on a frozen moon at the edge of Coalition space. Nothing lived here except the 47 station workers and whatever small creatures hid beneath the ice. Daniel was returning from a supply check at the northern storage building. The storm made it hard to see more than 10 meters ahead. His thermal suit kept him warm, but the wind pushed against him like a living thing. The sound came a third time. It was coming from the east, near the perimeter fence. Daniel changed direction. His boots crunched through the frozen surface as he walked. The station rules said he should return immediately during storms. Commander Brix had made that very clear during his first week. But Daniel had never been good at following rules when someone might need help. He found a creature half buried in snow against the fence and could see first. Daniel thought it was dead. The body was large, perhaps 3 meters long, with 4 folded wings pressed against its sides. Scales covered its skin, but they were dull and cracked instead of shining. The color might have been silver blue once, but now it looked gray and lifeless. Then the creature moved. Its head lifted slightly, and Daniel saw eyes that glowed with faint inner light. The mouth opened, and that crying sound came out again. Daniel recognized the species from his training files. A Dralith. The Coalition called them Category 4 wildlife. They were intelligent, capable of speech and complex thought, but they were not protected under medical laws. Most species feared them and kept their distance. Daniel knelt beside the creature. He could see now that it was young, probably equivalent to a teenager in human terms. Its body was shaking badly. The shivering was so strong that Daniel could hear scales clicking against each other. He touched his communication device. Medical emergency at the eastern perimeter. I need assistance. Commander Brix's voice came back immediately. What kind of emergency? I found a Dralith. Young one. Severe hypothermia, possible infection. It needs immediate treatment. There was a pause. When Brix spoke again, his voice was cold. Dralith are Category 4. We do not provide medical assistance to Category 4 species. Return to the station immediately. Commander, this creature will die without help. That is not our concern. Coalition protocol is clear. Return to the station. That is an order. Daniel looked down at the shivering dragon. Its eyes were watching him. There was intelligence in those eyes, and fear, and something that looked very much like hope. Understood, Daniel said. He turned off his communication device. He had no equipment for moving something this large. The creature probably weighed 200 kilograms or more. But Daniel had carried injured climbers down mountains on Earth. He had dragged drowning swimmers through ocean currents. He knew how to move weight when it mattered. He positioned himself beside the dragon and lifted. The creature made a sound of surprise and pain. Daniel whispered words of comfort as he pulled. The wind fought against them both, but Daniel kept moving to IT. Took him 20 minutes to reach the station. He used the maintenance entrance on the lower level, the one that led directly to staff quarters. Most workers stayed in the central areas during storms. No one saw him drag the dragon through the narrow corridor. His personal quarters were small but warm. Daniel cleared space on the floor and lowered the creature gently onto the heated surface. The dragon's shivering continued, but the eyes stayed open and watched everything Daniel did. Daniel grabbed every blanket and thermal sheet he owned. He wrapped them around the dragon's body. Then he went to his emergency medical kit and pulled out everything that might help. Heating packs, antibiotics designed for multiple species, fluid supplements. The dragon's internal temperature was dangerously low. Daniel knew that Dralith had special organs that generated internal heat, like a furnace inside their chest. This one's furnace had clearly failed. Without artificial warming, the creature would die before morning. Daniel activated every heating pack and placed them against the dragon's body. Then he did something that his training never covered. He lay down beside the creature and pressed his own body against its side. Human body heat was not much compared to what a Draelith needed, but it was something. The dragon made a soft sound. Its head turned slowly until it was looking directly at Daniel's face. Those glowing eyes studied him with an expression that seemed almost confused. "Just rest," Daniel said quietly. "I'm going to help you. You are safe now." The dragon's mouth opened. What came out was broken and rough, but Daniel understood the words clearly. "Why?" the creature asked. "Why help?" Daniel did not have a simple answer. He thought about his years of rescue work on Earth. He thought about all the people and animals he had carried out of danger. He thought about the basic belief that had guided his entire life. "Because you needed it," he said. "That is enough reason." The dragon stared at him for a long moment. Then its eyes closed, and its body relaxed slightly against the warmth. The shivering continued, but it was weaker now. The creature was fighting to survive. Daniel stayed where he was, sharing his warmth with an alien dragon that his commander had ordered him to abandon. Outside, the ice storm continued to scream. Inside, two very different beings held onto each other and waited for morning. Whatever happened next, Daniel knew one thing for certain. He had made his choice, and he would not take it back. 3 days passed without sleep. Daniel worked through every hour, checking temperatures, adjusting heating packs, and monitoring vital signs. The dragon, who Daniel had started calling the patient in his mind, showed small improvements each day. The shivering decreased. The scales began to show hints of their true silver-blue color. But the internal heating organ remained silent and cold. Daniel had studied Draelith biology during his training. Every species in the coalition had basic medical files. He knew that the heating organ was like a second heart for these creatures. It burned special chemicals in their blood and kept their entire system running. When it failed, most Draelith died within days. The medical file said the condition was untreatable. Daniel did not believe in untreatable conditions, that he built a warming system from parts he found around the station. Modified heating elements from the kitchen. Temperature regulators from the climate control room. Power cells from emergency equipment. He connected everything together and created a device that could maintain constant heat against the dragon's chest. On the fourth night, someone knocked on his door that Daniel's heart stopped for a moment. He looked at the dragon lying on his floor, covered in blankets, and connected to his strange machine. There was no way to hide any of it. He opened the door. Doctor Yella stood in the corridor. She was a Fenari, a small species with large eyes and soft gray fur. She served as the station's medical officer. Her expression was impossible to read. "May I come in?" she asked. Daniel stepped aside. Yella entered and looked at the dragon. She was quiet for a long time. "I wondered why you were taking so many supplies from the medical storage," she said finally. "I checked the security recordings. I saw you bring this creature inside during the storm. Are you going to report me?" Yella walked closer to the dragon. She examined Daniel's makeshift equipment with obvious curiosity. "This is interesting work. Your species has a different approach to medicine. You try things that others would never consider." "That does not answer my question." Yella turned to face him. "I have not decided yet. First, I want to understand why you are doing this." Daniel looked at the dragon. The creature was sleeping now, its breathing slow and steady. "Because no one else would. Because the rules say this life does not matter, and I cannot accept that." "The rules exist for reasons," Yella said. "Draelith are dangerous. They form bonds with other beings. Psychic connections that cannot be broken. Many species consider this a form of mental invasion. I read the files. They bond with those who save their lives. Is that so terrible? For most species, yes. They fear losing control of their own minds." Yella paused. "But I notice humans are not like most species. Your people seem to form attachments easily. Perhaps the bond would not frighten you the way it frightens others." She moved to the dragon's head and examined the eyes, the scales, the mouth. Her movements were gentle and professional. "This one is young," she said. "Very young. And the heating organ damage appears to be a birth defect, not an injury." "What does that mean?" "It means this dragon was probably born this way. Among Draelith clans, defective young are often abandoned. They believe weakness should not be allowed to spread." Yella's voice carried a hint of sadness. This creature was likely left to die by its own family. Daniel felt something cold settle in his chest. He looked at the sleeping dragon with new understanding. Not just sick and alone, rejected, thrown away by the only beings who should have protected it. "Can you help me?" he asked. "Can you tell me how to fix the heating organ?" Yella shook her head. "The organ itself cannot be repaired. The cells are dead. But perhaps—" She stopped and seemed to think. "Perhaps your approach is better than you realize. You're not trying to fix the organ. You are replacing its function with external heat. If you could make this permanent, the dragon might survive. A permanent external heating system? Like an artificial organ. Human medicine does such things, yes? You replace hearts and lungs with machines. Why not a heating organ?" Daniel's mind began working through the possibilities. It would require better equipment, proper surgical implantation, and time. But it was not impossible. "I will need supplies," he said. "Medical equipment. Surgical tools." Yellow was quiet for a moment. Then she reached into her coat and pulled out a small bag. She placed it on Daniel's table. Inside were bottles of medication, surgical implements, and several tools Daniel did not recognize. "I brought these from my personal collection," she said. "They are not station property. No one will know they are missing." Daniel stared at her. "Why? You could lose your position for this." "Because I became a doctor to heal beings, not to follow rules that allow them to die." Yella moved toward the door. "Also, I am curious. I want to see if human stubbornness can truly save a life that everyone else has abandoned." She left without another word. Daniel stood alone with his patient and his new supplies. The dragon continued to sleep. The heating system continued to hum. Outside, the frozen moon continued its slow rotation around its distant sun. For the first time since finding the creature in the snow, Daniel felt something like hope. He was not alone anymore. He had an ally, tools, and a plan. Now he just had to keep the dragon alive long enough to use them. He sat down beside his patient and began planning the next steps. The real work was just beginning. The dragon spoke for the first time on the 7th day. Daniel was changing the heating packs when he heard a voice behind him. It was rough and uncertain, like someone learning to use their mouth in a new way. "Your name? What is your name?" Daniel turned around. The dragon was awake, head lifted from the floor, eyes glowing with steady light. The scales had regained most of their color now. Silver blue shimmered across the creature's body like moonlight on water. "Daniel," he said. "Daniel Webb. What is yours?" The dragon considered this question. "My clan call me Revon. It means born in shadow. They gave me this name because I came into the world during an eclipse." A pause. They said it was a bad sign. They were right. Daniel sat down cross-legged on the floor. "Your clan abandoned you because of your heating organ." "Yes, I was born broken. Among my people, broken things are left behind." Revon's eyes studied Daniel's face. "You are not my people. You have no reason to help me. Yet you stay. You work. You give your own warmth when the machines are not enough. I do not understand. On my world, we do not abandon the sick or the weak," Daniel said. "We believe every life has value, especially the lives that others have given up on." Revon was silent for a long moment. "I have heard stories about humans. Other species say you're strange, dangerous in ways they do not expect. They say you form attachments too easily, that you care about things you should ignore." Daniel smiled slightly. "They are probably right. Why? What makes your species this way?" Daniel thought about the question. He thought about Earth's history, about all the stories of humans risking everything to save strangers. He thought about rescue workers and doctors and ordinary people who ran toward danger instead of away from it. "I do not know," he admitted. "Maybe we just cannot help ourselves. When we see suffering, something inside us says we must act. It is not always logical. Sometimes it gets us killed, but we cannot seem to stop." Revon lowered her head to the floor. "I must tell you something important. Something about my species that you may not know." "The bonding," Daniel said. "Dr. Yella told me." "Then you know what it means. When a Drelith's life is saved, we bond with our savior. It is not a choice. It is built into our bodies, into our minds. The bond creates a connection. We feel each other's emotions. We know each other's thoughts. It lasts forever. Is that why other species fear you?" "Yes." They believe the bond takes away their freedom. They think we are parasites who steal minds. Revon's voice became very quiet. I have tried to stop it. I have tried to hold the bond back. But I am weak, and you have been so kind. I can feel it starting already. I am so sorry, Daniel. Daniel did not respond immediately. He thought about what it would mean. A permanent connection to an alien mind. Shared emotions. Shared thoughts. It was something no human had ever experienced before. What does the bond feel like? He asked. Revon seemed surprised by the question. It feels like warmth. Like never being alone. Like having someone who truly understands you, because they are inside your heart. That does not sound like a curse to me. The dragon's eyes widened. You are not angry? You are not afraid. I am a little afraid, Daniel admitted. But I am not angry. I knew there might be consequences when I brought you inside. I chose to help you anyway. Before Revon could respond, the door slid open. Commander Brix stood in the entrance with 2 security officers behind him. His face was hard with anger. So the rumors are true, Brix said. You have been hiding a Draelith in your quarters for a week. Do you have any idea what you have done? Daniel stood up slowly. I saved a life. I thought that was what medical personnel were supposed to do. Draelith are Category 4. They are not persons under Coalition law. You have violated at least 6 protocols. Brix stepped into the room. This creature must be removed immediately. Returned to the surface. She will die out there. That is not your concern. Brix nodded to his officers. Take it. Daniel moved between the officers and Revon. No. Brix stared at him. This is insubordination. I will have you removed from this station. I will end your career. Then do it. But I will not let you kill my patient. The room was very quiet. The 2 officers looked uncertain. They had never seen anyone openly defy Commander Brix before. That Brix's jaw tightened. You have 12 hours. After that, I am filing an official report with Coalition Command. They will send inspectors. They will take the creature, and they will deal with you. He turned and walked out. The officers followed. Daniel stood alone with Revon. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. We need to make a plan, he said. Behind him, Revon made a soft sound. Through some new sense that Daniel did not fully understand, he felt her gratitude like warmth spreading through his chest. The bond had begun. Daniel woke in the middle of the night with tears running down his face. The tears were not his own. They belonged to Revon. He could feel her dreams now, bleeding through the bond like water through cloth. He saw flashes of memory. A dark cavern filled with larger dragons. Cold eyes looking down at a shivering child. A voice saying words that translated roughly as worthless and burden and better if you had never been born. Then came the worst memory. Revon as a tiny hatchling, watching her clan fly away into clouds of ash and fire. They did not look back. Not once. Daniel reached out in the darkness and found Revon's head near his sleeping mat. He placed his hand on her scales. Through the bond, he sent feelings instead of words. Safety. Acceptance. You are not worthless. You mattered. Revon's eyes opened. The glow was dim and wet with tears she could not shed. You saw, she whispered. Yes, I am sorry. Now you understand why I believed I would die alone. Why I could not understand your kindness. She pressed her head against his hand. No one has ever stayed before. I am staying, Daniel said, no matter what happens. But even as he spoke, worry grew in his chest. Commander Brix had given them 12 hours. That time had already passed. The official report was surely filed by now. Coalition inspectors would be coming. The next morning, Dr. Yella brought more bad news. The inspection team will arrive tomorrow, she said. She stood in Daniel's doorway with her arms folded across her chest. Brix made sure they sent a full enforcement squad. And there is something worse. What could be worse? The team includes a hunter from the Valkyrie species. They consider Draelith dangerous pests. His job is to eliminate any Draelith found in Coalition territory. Daniel felt cold anger through the bond. He was not sure if it came from Revon or himself. They cannot just kill her, he said. She has not done anything wrong. Under Coalition law, she does not need to. Draelith are Category 4. The hunter has legal authority to terminate any Draelith he finds for any reason. Yella's voice was heavy with frustration. I have searched for alternatives. There are very few. Very few means there are some. Yella hesitated. There is one possibility. An old treaty between Earth and the Coalition. It grants medical asylum to any patient under direct human care, but it has never been used for a Category 4 species. I do not know if it would work. How do we use it? Someone with authority must file the petition. A doctor, an official, someone the Coalition recognizes. Yella looked at the floor. I am not that person. Fenari have no political power here. Daniel thought quickly. What about Earth's embassy? If I could contact them directly, communications are monitored. Bricks would intercept any message before it reached human space. The situation seemed impossible. They had no allies with power, no way to communicate, and no time. In less than a day, armed inspectors would arrive to take Revon away. Or kill her. Through the bond, Daniel felt Revon's fear. But beneath the fear, he felt something else. Acceptance. She was preparing to die. No, Daniel said out loud. I'm not giving up. Revon stirred on the floor. Daniel, perhaps it would be better if you let them take me. You have already done more than anyone else ever has. I do not want you to be destroyed because of me. Stop talking like that. Daniel knelt beside her. We are bonded now. Your life is connected to mine. If they take you, they take part of me too. Do you understand? Revon's eyes widened. Through the bond, Daniel felt her surprise and wonder. No one had ever claimed connection to her before. No one had ever said that her existence mattered to their own. Then what do we do? She asked. Daniel looked at Yella. You said the petition needs someone with authority. What if we leave the station? What if we hide until Earth can send someone? Yella considered this. The moon's surface is deadly. The ice caves might provide shelter, but I survived worse conditions on Earth. I spent 5 years doing mountain rescue in places that made this moon look friendly. Daniel stood up. If we can stay hidden for a few days, can you send a message to Earth? It would take time to find a secure channel. But yes, I think I could. Then we have a plan. Revon struggled to her feet. She was stronger now, but still weak. Her wings trembled as she stood. I cannot fly yet, she said, and I cannot survive outside without heat. Daniel began gathering supplies. Then we will share warmth like we have been doing. My body heat and your recovering fire. Together, we might produce enough. It is dangerous. Everything is dangerous. Daniel looked into Revon's eyes. Through the bond, he let her feel his determination. I did not save your life just to watch you die. We survived together or not at all. Outside, he could hear the wind beginning to rise. Another storm was coming. It would provide cover for their escape. Daniel checked his supplies one more time. Food, heating equipment, medical supplies, emergency shelter. Everything a human needed to survive in hostile conditions that he hoped it would be enough. We leave in 1 hour, he said. Get ready. The storm hit just as Daniel and Revon reached the ice caves. Daniel had found them during his first month on the moon. Natural tunnels formed by ancient volcanic activity, now frozen solid and hidden beneath the surface. He had reported them as potential emergency shelters. Commander Bricks had ignored the report. Now Daniel was grateful for that neglect. The entrance was a narrow crack in a ridge of black rock. Daniel guided Revon through the gap and into the darkness beyond. His helmet light revealed a long tunnel that sloped downward into the ice. How far does this go? Revon asked. I explored about 2 kilometers before turning back. There are larger chambers deeper inside. We will be harder to find there. They walked in silence for a while. The storm's noise faded behind them. The only sounds were their footsteps and the quiet hum of Daniel's heating equipment that Revon stumbled suddenly. Daniel caught her before she fell. I am sorry, she said. My strength is not what it should be. Rest here. Daniel helped her settle against the tunnel wall. He activated his portable heaters and arranged them around her body. Then he sat beside her and shared his warmth like he had done so many times before. Through the bond, he could feel her exhaustion, but he also felt gratitude so deep it almost hurt. Can I ask you something? Revon said quietly. Of course. Why are humans different from other species? I have met beings from many worlds. None of them would have done what you did. They would have walked past me in the snow. They would have followed their rules and let me die. Daniel thought about the question for a long time before answering. I think it comes from our history, he said finally. Humans evolved on a dangerous world. We were not the strongest or fastest creatures. We survived because we learned to work together. We protected the weak because the weak might save the strong tomorrow. We formed bonds because lonely humans died. But I am not human. I cannot help your survival. That does not matter. The instinct to protect does not ask for reasons. When we see someone suffering, we feel it ourselves. The pain of others becomes our pain. Daniel paused. Maybe that makes us weak in some ways. We get attached to things we should not. We take risks that make no sense, but also makes us strong. We fight harder when we are fighting for someone else. Revon was quiet for a moment. Then she pressed her head against Daniel's shoulder. Through the bond, he felt something new. Not just gratitude or fear or hope. Something warmer and deeper. Among my people, she said, bonds are considered chains. Drelith believed that connection limits freedom, but humans see it differently. For you, connection creates strength. I never thought about it that way. But yes, I think that is true. They rested together in the darkness. Hours passed. Daniel's equipment beeped softly as it maintained temperature. Outside, the storm continued to rage. Then his communication device crackled to life. Daniel. It was Dr. Yella's voice, barely audible through static. Can you hear me? Daniel grabbed the device. I hear you. What is happening? The inspection team arrived early. They searched the station. Briggs told them you escaped with the Drelith. A pause filled with static. They're scanning the surface now. They will find the caves eventually. How long do we have? Maybe 6 hours. Maybe less. Another pause. But there is good news. My message reached Earth's embassy. They are sending a diplomatic vessel. It will arrive in approximately 8 hours. That is not enough time. I know. But Daniel, the embassy also filed the asylum petition. It is now officially registered with Coalition Command. The inspectors cannot harm Revon while the petition is pending. Daniel felt hope bloom in his chest. They have to wait for a ruling? Yes. Coalition law requires it. The hunter is furious, but he cannot touch her legally until the petition is resolved. Yella's voice became urgent. But you need to survive until the Earth vessel arrives. Can you do that? Daniel looked at Revon. Through the bond, he felt her sudden hope mixing with his own. Two hearts beating faster at the same moment. We will survive, he said. Whatever it takes. Good. I will try to delay the search. Be careful, Daniel. The communication ended. Silence filled the cave. Once more, Revon lifted her head. Her eyes glowed brighter than before. Humans are coming for us. Yes, they are coming. For me? Your people are coming to save someone they have never met? Someone who is not even human. Daniel smiled. That is what humans do. We cannot help ourselves. Revon made a sound that Daniel had never heard from her before. It took him a moment to recognize it. She was laughing. Through the bond, he felt her joy, bright and warm like the fire she could not produce on her own. Your species is impossible, she said. Completely and wonderfully impossible. Daniel wrapped his arms around her and shared more of his warmth. Outside, the storm began to fade. Somewhere above them, hunters searched the frozen surface. Somewhere in space, human ships flew through the darkness toward them. 8 hours. They just had to survive for 8 more hours. Daniel settled in for the long wait. He had faced worse odds on Earth. And this time, he was not alone. Through the bond, Revon sent him feelings of trust and hope and something that might have been love. Daniel sent the same feelings back. Together, they waited for dawn. The human ship broke through the clouds like a silver arrow falling from heaven. Daniel watched from the cave entrance as it descended. He had never been so happy to see Earth's flag painted on metal. Beside him, Revon pressed close, her weakened body trembling with exhaustion and relief. They had survived the night. Barely. The inspectors had found the caves 4 hours before dawn. Daniel had led Revon deeper into the tunnels, moving through passages so narrow that the hunters' scanning equipment could not track them. They had hidden in a chamber of pure ice, sharing body heat while their breath formed crystals in the frozen air. Now it was over. The human vessel landed on the ridge above the caves. A door opened, and figures in Earth uniforms emerged. The lead figure was a woman with gray hair and calm eyes. She wore the markings of an ambassador. Behind her came a team of doctors and soldiers, all human, all moving with purpose. "Daniel Webb?" the ambassador called out. "Here." Daniel stepped forward, supporting Revon with one arm. "We are here." The ambassador's eyes moved to Revon. Her expression did not change, but Daniel saw something warm in her gaze. Understanding, perhaps, or respect. "I am Ambassador Sarah Lynn," she said. "Earth's Council received the asylum petition this morning. We came as fast as we could. Is the petition approved?" "It is under review. But while it is pending, no one can legally harm your patient." Ambassador Lynn turned to look at the ridge behind them. Daniel followed her gaze and saw Commander Brix standing with the inspector team. The hunter was beside him, a tall creature with sharp teeth and cold eyes. "That one wanted to kill her," Daniel said quietly. "I know. He is not happy about our arrival." Lynn's voice carried no fear. "But coalition law is clear. Earth has the right to protect anyone under our medical care. We invoke that right the moment we received Dr. Yella's message." The hunter stepped forward. "This is interference. The Draelith is Category 4 wildlife. Your treaties do not apply. Our treaties apply to any patient under direct human medical supervision," Lynn replied calmly. "Medic Webb has been treating this individual for 10 days. The bond between them is documented. Under Earth law, they are now partners. Harming one means harming both." The hunter's eyes narrowed. "Partners? With a beast? With a person?" Daniel's voice cut through the cold air. "Revon is intelligent. She speaks. She thinks. She feels. The only difference between her and anyone else on this moon is that coalition law refuses to recognize her rights. Coalition law exists for reasons. Bad reasons." Daniel stepped closer to the hunter. He felt Revon's fear through the bond, but also her strength flowing into him. "You call her kind parasites because they form bonds. But what is so terrible about connection? What is so dangerous about caring for each other?" The hunter had no answer. Ambassador Lynn spoke into the silence. "The asylum petition will be heard by Coalition Court within 30 days. Until then, Revon remains under Earth's protection. She will travel with us to human space. Anyone who attempts to interfere will be charged with violation of interspecies treaty law." Commander Brix finally spoke. "You cannot simply take coalition property off this station. Revon is not property." Lynn's voice was ice. "She's a patient, and she is leaving with us now." The human soldiers formed a protective circle around Daniel and Revon. They moved toward the ship as a group. The inspector team watched, but did not interfere. Even the hunter stayed back, his cold eyes burning with anger he could not act upon. Inside the ship, warmth surrounded them immediately. Human warmth. Safe warmth. Revon collapsed onto a medical bed, and human doctors began examining her with gentle hands. Daniel stayed beside her. Through the bond, he felt her overwhelming relief. She had never been treated with such care by anyone except him. "We are going to help you," one of the doctors said to Revon. "We have studied Draelith biology. Your heating organ cannot be repaired, but we can give you an artificial replacement. A small device that will do the same job." Revon's eyes went wide. "You can fix me?" "We can." The doctor smiled. "Medic Webb's temporary solution showed us it was possible. We just need to make it permanent." Daniel felt tears on his face. This time, they were his own. Ambassador Lynn approached them later, after the ship had left the frozen moon behind. She sat across from Daniel, while Revon slept peacefully on the medical bed. "You started something important today," Lynn said. "Earth has never granted asylum to a Draelith before. This will change how the Coalition sees both our species." "I did not do it to change anything," Daniel said. "I just could not let her die." "I know. That is why it matters." Lynn studied his face. "We are creating a new program, the Xenomedical Corps. Humans who will travel the galaxy providing care to species that others have abandoned. We want you to lead it." Daniel looked at Revon. Her scales shimmered silver blue under the ship's lights. Through the bond, he could feel her dreams. They were peaceful now. No more nightmares of abandonment. Wherever I go, she comes with me, he said. We would not have it any other way. You two are partners now. Where one goes, the other follows. Daniel smiled. Then yes, I accept. Weeks later, Revon stood on a green hillside on a world far from the frozen moon. Her four wings spread wide, catching sunlight for the first time in her life. The artificial heating device hummed quietly in her chest, doing the job her broken organ never could. Daniel watched her with quiet pride. Through their bond, he felt what she felt. Joy, freedom, the warmth of belonging. She turned to look at him, eyes glowing bright. Thank you, she said, for everything. Daniel walked up the hill to stand beside her. Together, they looked out at a galaxy full of beings who needed help. Ready? He asked. Revon spread her wings wider and laughed. Ready.